I would like to pull the cards soon before we start, only because you may decide you want to use your prompt today instead of waiting for a week. So I'd like if you could, we'll have to chime in together. As far as I'm going to pull from this deck, the mindfulness cards. So rest and balance, curiosity and joy, insight and awareness, or kindness. Those are the categories. Can I get a consensus or just someone just to call it?
And balance.
Okay, rest and balance. Got it.
Curiosity.
That would be this one. So that's the one. I always pull the top, but if you want me to pull a random one, but this is one right here. This make space for silence. So that's the.
I think we did that already.
Did we do that one? Maybe we did. Okay, sorry about that. Let me pull it back. There we go. The skill of doing nothing. Oh, well, that's going to be interesting when we're doing this. But okay, so the skill of doing nothing, and then the other set, and then I'll put this down at the end. I'll make sure in case whoever missed it, we'll get these prompts. So the Storymatic prompt, I always pull off the side and I put, that's funny. Okay, so here they are. It says, a person who needs to remove a tattoo right away, and phone call at 3 a.m. So those are the story prompts. If you decide you want to use them today, if not, that's okay. We'll be doing some fun collage layering and collage techniques today. And then after this, we can share our experience of our journaling experience for the week from last week. So for this week, I think if you have a cutout magazine, like words, like little ransom note type words, you can just cut out words that mean lots to you. So I just found a lot of different phrases and words that kind of worked. And then I also went through magazines and cut out shapes and things that looked kind of cool to me. So I'm just going to put this one away. We're going to do a few things. We're going to do some the collage, and if you saw that video that I posted, it's kind of along that sort of thing. So what we will do is we're going to do some collage with magazines, and then also want to do some torn paper collage with tissue papers and different things, and that will be on a different page, but just so you can see the different techniques that we can do, and a little bit of with some gel mediums too as well. So I'm going to start with this page just because I need to have things dry in sequence. I also wanted to show you this page. I'm going to do I put a little gel medium or matte. No, it was hard molding paste that I put in there, and I had some time for it to dry, so now it's ready. And I'm going to do a little technique with that hard molding paste for you to see. So we'll do that. So I'll start with this one though. This is going to be fun. So what I did is I took my journal and I just took some blues, different colors of blues, kind of a turquoise blue and a light blue and some white. And I just painted a background. I started out with the blues, and then I used a stipple brush, one of these, to get the whites. And I just, tapped it into white, and I just kind of blended it real softly. So I did that yesterday, so I've had plenty of time for it to dry. So it's always good to have if you are doing something like that and you want to start with some kind of background when you're going to be gluing in your papers, just make sure it's a matte paint. You don't want it too glossy. So this is just craft paint that I used, and it has a very kind of textural feel to it. So it's just going to be easier. It'll be better for the glue or for the papers to adhere. So that's kind of make sure it's sort of a rough surface, not rough, but not too glossy. So with this, so I've made a sky background because I had in mind a prompt about the restaurant. If you remember last week, the restaurant prompt. And I found these magazine pictures, and it was out of Vogue, and they were these masked women with covered faces, and here's a motorcycle Here's a, oops, I'm gonna make sure everybody's on mute if we could, just so we can record okay. If everybody could be on mute, that'd be awesome. There we go. So what I did is I just kind of thought this is cool because this is like totally safe, practicing safe social distancing with a motorcycle helmet. And I thought, oh, hey, I should have saved my motorcycle helmet because that would be fun. So I'm just gonna, I've kind of thought of an idea to make something really pretty and then I'll do some other things. But to start with, when you're doing collage, you can use glue stick. These are fine. These the Elmer's, the ones that stick, it says it's usually like an extra strength. You want something like that. You want something that's not going to be too wet that would cause the wrinkling of the paper. I'm just going to move these to the side a little bit. So you want something that is not, like I said, not wrinkle. But if you want to use tissue paper and things like that, sometimes this kind of paste or a starch paste would work. You could mix the starch paste with PVA. There's all kinds of ways you can adhere your paper to your journal. This gel mat would also work. It's just basically a very thick, heavy-bodied acrylic medium, and it's matte, so you can paint over it, which is nice, or draw over it. So I'm going to just today. I'm just going to do it with some, and I'll show you kind of my little technique that I do. I'm going to use some tissue paper, and I'm going to put my first one down because when you're collaging, of course, you want to go in layers. And with these, I just cut out little designs. I'm going to move that right out of the way, and I just want to take the glue stick and give it just all the way to the edges. So you want to make sure you're doing it with something underneath. But I want to go all the way under the edges of this, and it's very sticky. So once it's down, it's not moving around after that. Okay, so I've got it. Now I like the purple because it shows that I got everything. I'm just going to put this about right here because I kind of have in mind I wanted to do this figure with like a crown. And when you put the paper down, you just kind of start from the edge or from the center and move out to flatten it. And to just kind of get all the little smooth out any bubbles that you might have. And so now I'm going to take this little lady because I think that was cool. Now I kind of went a little bit too low, but that's okay. I can just trim that off. So I'm just going to go ahead and maybe make sure I don't have glue all over the place. And this is a much bigger piece, so this is going to be a little trickier. So I'm just going to start from the center and move my way out. And to keep thin papers from wrinkling, you just want to kind of move in one direction, and then it won't just wrinkle up on you. So I'm just kind of moving from the center out. I can see there's going to be an area where I'm going to have to trim off, so I'm going to probably not glue that so much. But the more evenly you put on your glue, the better everything is. So there, I've got a nice coverage. I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to put this right in that spot here. And then I'm just going to smooth it from the center and move my way out. And once it's down, it's not moving. So now I'm going to trim that off because it's in the way. You could do it with a blade or scissors, but there it is. Got that part done. That's kind of cool, fun. And then I'm going to do on this side, because I just had in mind to write something about, being able to get out in the world again. Because I don't know about you, but I've been kind of stuck. We're not going anywhere. And I just look forward to the time when we can go somewhere. And even if we have to go somewhere with wearing a motorcycle helmet, I'm willing. I'm willing to do it. Because just, want to be able to connect again. Things, we just have to kind of be patient, I guess. So this is probably the biggest piece. So you'll see it kind of wrinkles up, it curls up, and that's normal. If you want to moisten the front a little with a spray, you can. That actually helps with the wrinkling, but then again, or not with the curling. But then again, you will also have problems. It will wrinkle a little bit because it is a magazine page. I'm going to move that over here. I'm just going to find a place for that. And I'm going to lay it down. There she is. and smooth from the center, move all the way out, just smooth it. If you want to, you can lay a piece of paper down like this on top and really smooth using, if you have a Baron or some kind of tool that burnishes down, even a bone folder, that will actually help to get those really nice and smooth. So that looks really clean. You know, I don't see any bubbles or anything. And I'm just going to add other little elements like my little flowers. I found some interesting little shapes, and I'm just going to add those. So that you just want to start with your big picture, you know, kind of get an idea when you're collaging with images like this, kind of an idea of what you're gonna make, kind of a composition idea. It doesn't mean it won't change, but it will, something that you want, you know, just kind of an overall idea of what you're gonna do. The same thing, this one has little parts to it, little tiny little parts. So I just want to get that smooth and then lift it up, and now that looks good. And this little, I wish I had more pictures. I should cut some more pictures out. I'll figure out something. So this one, I think of this one, I like that. Maybe I'll put a flower somewhere, wherever, it's where I want to put it, I guess. Right there. So I'm just gonna put a little glue. And this isn't this glue stick isn't the only way this is gonna stick to this. Afterwards, I'll be putting clear gesso or mediums over it, or paint, which will also help everything to kind of work together. So I'm just going to put this flower right there. And again, I'll smooth it down like that. So I kind of got a basic thing. Just to, you know, by itself, it's kind of fun, but I think it's going to be fun to do a little bit more to it. So, and I'm going to go ahead and start, because this is relatively dry already. I mean, I could put words like, here we go, going places. This is actually perfect for what's going on today. This is perfect. It's a little big, but I kind of think it's fun. So I'm just going to trim it a little bit. Trim off that little edge, and I'm going to put it somewhere. Where? I don't know. Maybe, I wish it was smaller. That's the thing. If it was smaller, but it isn't. So maybe just glue it up here. I'm just going to go ahead and take my glue stick and put my big title right up here. Now, the thing that's kind of fun about this is now I can journal, I can write about the subject, going places, and how going places now is we have to prepare differently than we used to. And I was talking to Carol a little bit before we started about that very thing, about how we're trying to open things up and being safe. So here we go. I can start to write and journal. We got a little spot now. If you see, I've got a little spot that's lifting, because I really didn't do a really great job down at the bottom. So I can just lift it and add a little more glue like this and lay it down, or it even better, because the glue stick is really not the best adhesive. It works, but it's not the best. What I could do is start using the gel mediums. So that really will do it. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of gel. I think I'll use this brush. Just a tiny bit of gel. I can actually put it under and over. So I'm just going to lay it. You can see I'm just putting a little bit, and I'm going to go over the image as well, like I'm doing it over the leg there. And I'm just going to lay that down, and then I'm going to put a little bit over. That does not hurt it at all. In fact, it will kind of actually start to fuse everything together. And with this one, I could also do clear gesso, which is another one that's really good to put over, but I don't need to do it yet. So I'm just going to make sure my brushes are clean, because I'll be using that brush again. And what I always do is afterwards, I just get my brush ready, because I found that I've left a lot of things out and caused a lot of problems. Now, there's other things you could do with I could leave it like this. That's kind of not that exciting. So I can start to paint. I can start to put color over and blend the stuff together. So I've got this white paint, And I'm going to take this brush here, which is a soft, just a little, it's actually, I forgot what it's called, a stippling brush maybe, or a stencil brush. I'm just going to kind of, and very gently, I mean, not much. I'm going to bring my clouds, I'm just going to bring some more color, and I'm just going to kind of blend the borders a little bit, just so that they don't look so harsh. A little bit of paint over that isn't going to hurt at all. And also will lighten up some of the areas. Maybe a little reflection on the helmet there. I could just do that with the whole thing, just kind of soften the area. You can add different, using stencils, I can create textures. And I can also add paints. I'm just kind of being real conservative right now because I kind of like the design already. But just kind of just making it painterly rather than so collage-y, if that makes sense. So you can do things like that. And then I could actually add, I could paint and do other things just to soften the whole thing. One thing I forgot to do just now is I need to kind of take my edges to protect the other side of the journal. It's always good to just, especially if you're painting, just kind of protect it. Now I can go on the outside and not worry so much. Oops, somebody's in. Jonah, someone named Jonah is in. Okay. Welcome, Jonah. We will talk soon. Oops, my camera's acting funny. Sorry, guys. Ooh, that was flashy. Whatever happened there? But someone new came today. Welcome, and we'll proceed. And then after this demo's over, we will meet you, and we will get to know you, and we will be able to share our journaling experiences. So I'm just kind of doing some painterly stuff over this. And if I want to, I could change the colors, but right now I'm just going to do the white because I can always paint over that and create new colors. So that's kind of, you could do that. And I'm going to clean that out. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry for a little bit because it needs a little bit of drying time. I'm going to close that. And I wanted to show you, if you remember, the person who takes shortcuts, that was my thing, but I didn't finish it. And I had painted my hand in gold and I pressed it on and I have this design. So what I wanted to do is paint. So what I had done is I had taken, if I can find this. Okay, where'd it go? All right, this is a stencil that I have. I don't remember what brand it is, but I took this design here and I laid it down and I used, and I'll show this how I did it, but I laid it down and I scraped with a palette knife. I put a little bit of gel medium, and this one actually I put it was the molding paste, hard molding paste, and I just scraped it over very lightly, lifted it carefully, and I let it dry. And now it's dry. I'll show you how I did that. I'll do another demo doing that, but I needed to have time for that to dry. So I wanted to kind of show you something that's really neat. So let's say you do something like that and you want to add color. I've got this set of paints that I kind of want to keep playing with. Let's see, I'll make a space here. And a brush, doesn't matter what kind of brush, I'm just going to grab, if I can find a water brush. This is just a water brush. It has water in the handle already. And I want to do a little watercolor over this. So I'm just going to take, and I think I would like to do something with in the red. There's no water. Nope, there's water in there. Kind of give it some red or pink color. I'll start out with that, and then I'll move on to blues. But what's neat about the working in this is now I can actually create, now you can see my design is kind of coming out, which is really neat. And I'm going to put a little blue. And just kind of bring out that design. And so I can put my dab up on a towel and it totally lifts off. And what's underneath is going to stay. So I'm going to put a little shadow, kind of a darker color around it. And what I just like about it is that you can do all these neat things. Now I can also take that watercolor, which I'm just going to play, because it's definitely a white paper. Just I can't deal with white paper, so I'm just going to do a little watercolor around this. Now this is soaking in. This is actually not working the way I want it to. So it's soaking in way too quickly. So I'm going to just play with this a little bit longer, and then I'm going to put some and rub that up so you can see how it just totally pops. So now I see that was a kind of a boo-boo, not what I wanted. It's definitely not where I want that to go. So what I'm going to do is I've got this paint. It's a chalk paint, and you can use any. Oops, Alexis is coming in. Hi, Alexis. Oh, my machine does that weird stuff. Sorry about that picture again. Why is it doing that? Every time all right, there we are. So Alexis is here. And please chime in if my camera does that and I'm not noticing it. Let me know, because that's just really odd. So now I'm going to just take this. I've got this chalk paint. You can use craft paint, anything that you want. And I just want to get rid of that boo-boo there. So here's a pretty, kind of a nice blue. And I'm just going to paint right over it. And that's what's so neat about this. You can just layer things. And if you're using an opaque paint, you can just create all these fun layers. Same thing, I can actually take this and border, which I think I will. I wanted this to be a spread, kind of where it's a 2-page rather than just one. I think spreads are really nice because they kind of tie everything together. And if you have a journal that has a gutter instead of the ring journal, which I have been working in the ring journal, it's a little harder to make a spread, even though you can, but it's nicer to, it's nice when you have a book style journal or even a regular book. If you want to just use a regular book, that you have an old book, you can actually just journal in that, and in the text underneath kind of shows through, which is really pretty cool. So basically I would just paint this and then I can start layering. I won't work on this too long because I have more things to show you real quick. Just kind of cover this a little bit, and I can always come back to it. You can see how you can just paint and layer. Here's this, I'll continue this over to this side. So it looks like a spread. And then this will have to tie in somehow, my hand will tie in. And that's what's great about it. And I could even take some of that blue paint. Of course, this is now wet, so it's going to be hard for me to turn the page. But if I want to take some of this blue chalk paint that I have and put it into that page that I was just working on, the one, what's the one? The last one, the one that's on this side with the collage. And I think that would look cool too. So I might just do that. I do have a hairdryer here. And that's always good to have, especially if you want things to speed up. You can always use a hairdryer. I wouldn't recommend a heat gun for speeding things up on paper because it could become a disaster. So I'm just I think I've got it to where I can close it now. And I could do a little bit more work on the other one. And what I could do to really protect it is just take this paper and gently just bring it over. And I don't have to push down really hard, but just enough so I can play with it a little bit, put some more color down. So here I've got, I can blend again. I can bring in like low lights here with the blue, which kind of makes the clouds stand out a little bit more. Just something that you can just keep working on. I'm just going to leave that like that for now, so I can show you the next thing. So I'm going to put the lid on this. You can find it. This is what happens when we art journal, right? Things get all over the place. You can put that away. Okay, so I wanted to, we'll just let that sit, and we've at least got that collage covered. And I'll just cover this up a little bit so that to let things dry. All right. I want to make sure I'm not missing something I was going to show you. So I'm going to put this aside, let that kind of dry. If you remember what we were talking about, like as we're working in our journals, layering, this is something I was like the page start was started a long time ago. And the other day I found, someone had sent me these gorgeous, they were metallic brush pens. And oh my gosh, the color, the metallic is so gorgeous. And you can probably see that. And so I thought, well, I'd like to finish this or kind of work on this page a little more. So that's why it's great to work on more than one journal at a time. And I found this color and I thought it was such a beautiful color. Again, this is that chalk paint I was telling you about. I think I'll use this one. So basically I wrote this thing, it takes a long time to grow an old friend, but I just did that really quickly. I didn't, wasn't done very pretty, and I have this big spot here and it just isn't working. So I'm just gonna paint right around. Of course, it's a transparent paint. This is supposed to be opaque, so it's not doing what I want it to. So I'll shake it up and see if it will be a little more opaque. If not, that's okay, I'll move on to the next thing. But that, oh, see, it's covering a little better. But I wanted it to kind of cover. And just kind of, I want to keep those leaves and that beautiful metallic stuff. And I might even just kind of scumble this in, kind of painterly. And I may decide to do some stenciling over it, but it's just it's another layer of this. And that's the thing with your journal. You're going to find yourself working in layers. You know, the first layer, you know, the first thing you do, the first page you do might not be finished. You know, you can just do it and move on and then come back to it. Whatever inspires you. So I mean, now I can do some doodling and drawing over that, I think. Maybe using some black pen or something. I might even get rid of that signature there. So like this is another layer. And what I thought would be fun is to take those watercolors again. And I remember these are kind of a very pigmented color. They're not real watercolors. They're called, what are these things? These are called ink tints, and they are intense, and they don't behave like normal watercolors. But it's kind of fun to just play with your supplies, whatever you've got. Well, that's a nice color. And just kind of see what happens, you know, like, so I've got this bright, beautiful color going on. I'm just going to just put it on there. I'm not going to try to think too much. Just kind of see how it looks and just blend these on. There, I got a little pretty thing going. So I'm just doing lots of mixed media, blending watercolors together with fall. Let's do the fall colors. The beginning of fall. Just trying different things and not really thinking, oh, what am I doing here? You know, I'm just gonna make stuff. That's kind of cool. Fun stuff. And I went outside the lines, but that's life. Outside. I'm gonna put a little more red on that because I'm just thinking that it's the first few days of fall, even though it's been really hot here in Arizona. It's been terrible. So I let that dry, but that's another layer. And I'm liking this better now that I've done something with it. The same thing with the other day, I started to work with this and I stamped a story of love, which is going to go with this heart that has little marks coming out. And it's kind of, it kind of looks sad, but I don't mean it to be, but you know, and I'll probably fill this in, which it would be fun just to do it like while I'm at it. Maybe bring in some of that red color and just do like a wash of red and just kind of play. And then each time I do this, the work is evolving. Here's a pink color. See what happens there. Just kind of do a blend. And then I can actually get ideas of what I want to do with other things, you know. And this is just, as I'm talking, I'm creating this thing and I see a face now, kind of a face right in here. And I may want to bring that out later with some doodling. At least that's just another layer of what this journal is about as I work through it. So there's that piece. And I think I wanted to, oh, that's right. One more thing. I wanted to share with you a fun thing to do. Let's see, make sure I don't miss out because I have prepared. Oh, that's for later. I wanted to kind of share with you last week, if you remember, Love the Messenger was our prompt. And what I did was, this is, if you remember, when at the beginning of our journey, I painted some black gesso on these 2 pages, and I just left it like that. And so I went back to it and I wrote in that space, "Love the Messenger," with white pen, used this is just a print of a bird. And then I wrote about a lesson, something about a lesson I had learned in my 20s, quite an unexpected lesson. But it really changed my life as far as how the messenger, at first, I wanted to kill the messenger. I was so upset with that person. But that person changed my life by their bravery and what they said to me. So it reminded me of something way back when I was much younger. And I kind of, that's what that spread's about. And I talk about my life completely changed from that moment on. And I said, the very last sentence is, I need to see, I love the messenger, even if the message hurts in that case. So that just wanted to share that. Was a very meaningful, the card that we pulled that brought out a story of something in the past. So let me go, I was gonna show you the next thing. Here we go, blank spot. Remember, this is what we were doing last week. I haven't done anything with it yet, but it will come as we progress. So the torn paper collage idea, I wanted to share with you that real quick. So let's say you have a lot of different, this is a hand painted or just painted with sumi ink, and it's rice paper. And I have some delicate tissue papers, beautiful textured papers. And I've also got some painted papers that I did, and I'm just dying to do some stuff with it. And these papers are little scrapbook papers that have different things going on. So what I wanted just to share with you is just a basic, here we are with the glue stick again. I'm gonna get the paper out. Is to just get some paper and make a torn paper collage, like an abstract. It could be a background if you want it to be. So I'm gonna take this paper and I'm just gonna tear it. And when you're tearing papers, you have to tell, you'll be able to tell which direction you want to tear by, when you first start the tear, you'll see there's a border. And I'm not sure if you see this, but I'm gonna turn it, I'll make it so you can. Let's see, you could probably see that better. So now I see I'm doing it right, because what I do is when you tear your raw edge, you want that color or the white of the paper to show underneath. So you can see that I've got this white paper, white edge showing, which I think is really neat looking. So I've just torn that. So this side does not have a white edge, and this side does. So you can work with these papers in any way you want. This I could use for something, but I wanted this kind of look. So of course, actually, this would look good in my, wherever that one is, in this book. Now this book is probably ready for me to do something. This one would probably look really cool in here. If I wanted to add some torn paper element, I could do it here. But I'm going to leave this alone because I'm going to probably paint on that some more. So I'll just show you this. I'll just put it in here. Maybe, I think I'll put it, I'd like a solid color underneath. So I'm going to take some green, and I've got this beautiful green paper, and I'm just going to tear that as well. So this green, when you're working with torn paper, you can make mountainscapes and all kinds of things with it. This paper is more of a kind of a rice paper. It feels much thinner than other papers. So I'm just going to use, instead of the glue stick, I'm going to use a little bit of this nori paste. And what I love about that stuff is it's pretty cool stuff because it doesn't get really sticky. It's kind of what you don't want a lot of water because it will just wrinkle your pages pretty badly. But it's great for thin papers or tissue papers if you have them. And you can put it on with your hands because it doesn't. It's all made of starch, so there's no. It's not like you're putting bad glue. You can probably eat this stuff. I don't recommend it, but you could if you had to. I'm just going to tear this side too. What's nice about the nori also is that it is repositionable for a long period. There we go. and you won't have to, you can move it around. You can lift it off. So let's say you want to get an area and you change your mind. Like, look, I'm putting that down, but I go, I want to change my mind. You can. If I used regular glue with this, I wouldn't be able to change my mind. There's just no way. It would just be nuts. Okay, so I'm just going to put that on. And then what I could do with this paste, I can put it over it, and the threads of that paper will just stick on there beautifully. It kind of disappears, and it won't be an issue when it dries. You will not see that at all. So that's cool. Now this is what I wanted to show you, was this part. So I'm just going to do some torn, or I can just cut this. And you can do different directions. Maybe that's what I'll do. And so I'm doing the same thing. I want that white showing, so I'm just finding out where that white is. And I'm just going to tear it like that. So just playing with papers and seeing how they work on your paper. This, I won't use the nori paste because the nori paste won't really work for this paper. And since I'm kind of doing a whole collage, I don't even worry about the glue getting on into anything, because it's going to, a lot of glue is going to be on this page. Just going to lay that here. Just going to do a random design just to see what it looks like. And then this will be a background. So this tissue paper, I think, is so lovely. I'm just going to put a little on that. I'm just going to trim it so that it's, you can layer, and I think some of you might have received some of this tissue paper. It is available. It's I think it's an Ito. It's made by Ito or distributed by Ito, and they do origami and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to use this paste brush. I'm just going to put it over, straight over. You can also use a gel medium if you want, because it's going to, but the paste right now is a good one because it's going to go in through the fibers, but it's not going to alter it much at all. Actually, when it dries, you won't see it. So I've got this neat, fun little background going. And you could do anything with anything you have. If I don't have nori, I'm going to just show you how it's everything is so intermixable. So I'm going to put that away, and I'm going to just use I can even use some gesso. This is the stuff that Alexis sent me. It's a clear gesso. And it's pretty cool to work with because it's clear and it's matte. I'm just going to put it right over what I'm working on. And that's giving me a base I can paint over if I want. And it's also sticking the paper down. And it's not hurting the nori paste that I put on. Nothing's harming it. You'll just find that going in layers and working from the center out when you're gluing, or when you're using any thin papers like what I'm using now, just work from the center moving out. And you'll get some really fun textures and colors. And I love this background already, just like that. And I haven't even done much. You can also wrinkle it if you wanted to create little textures. You can push it around. It's not really this one, but you could. And if it does it with your brush, if your brush causes it to wrinkle, that's great. It's going to look great. So I'm just going to let that dry. And that's going to take quite a while. We won't have time to, see there, I'm pushing it around so that it's kind of with my brush, and that's kind of cool. I'm giving it an edge that I kind of like. So you can just kind of there we go, fold that down. But if you just work with it and then just let it dry, and it will you'll have a nice background to do some, you can put a magazine page, an image, or draw over it, because the gesso does create a surface for you to keep working. So I'm thinking, let's see if there's anything else I want to share with you before we go on. So this one is a paper that I did some jelly printing on. So when you do jelly printing, you can always use them in your collage. So I can just tear this one. I love this one because the paper is actually a solid color on the other side. You can see it's got this beautiful blue, intense blue edge. I just love that. But I might just put a little bit right. I think I'm just going to cut it down here at the bottom. And maybe cut a little off the edge so that it doesn't There we go. And I'm just going to stick that. I can stick that on with the gesso or the glue stick, maybe the glue stick to start with. So you can see how much you can just kind of mix and match your mediums and it will work because it's all water-based. If you use rubber cement, I would say no, it wouldn't work, but I don't think I've used rubber cement in 30 years. But any water-based acrylic mediums, gel mediums, there we go. Just going to go right to that spot. And now I've got this interesting little layer here on top. And I can just keep going. And what I might do is just stick a little gesso over that just to really have it seal. One more. Just layer it right on. So the glue stick first and the gesso on top will give it a nice bond. And if you want to stick it, go ahead and stick everything underneath. You know, take your brush and just kind of scooch it underneath your paper. Here we are. Now I'm just going to leave that to dry.